It is I, your favorite crazy lady, and welcome back to my podcast, Living Disabled, A Life Worth Living. This series is meant to help open up a conversation and for people to talk about things that we normally don't talk about in the disabled community. To give people an understanding of the things that we go through, what it is like for us, and to normalize the fact that everybody's different. Tonight, the episode that I want to do is a little more difficult for me because I don't really talk about this as a general rule. I have an eating disorder. And I know there's a lot of you that are going to look at me and go, yeah, you're fat. You can't quit eating. That's your disorder. And that's just not true. When I was younger, I could eat larger quantities of food. And I was taught from a very young age, if you feel pain, if something is bothering you, if you are feeling emotional, you will eat and you will feel better. And I have always raised the children that I have raised, because I can't have biological children of my own. Go to my other podcast where we talk about that. My unexpected life. How did we get here? But I've never raised any of the kids that I've helped raise, which there are like 13 of them. I never raised any of them to have that kind of a relationship with food. Even with my granddaughter now. When she was little, they moved here when she was 3. And I would be like, no, she doesn't need to. No, we're not doing that. And I explained to her mom why. Because once you have that crutch in your head, you always have that crutch in your head. It doesn't go away. You become an emotional eater. You become fixated on food. Now, Lily's mom can understand that because she also has an eating disorder, but hers is the polar opposite of mine. She cannot have certain tastes, certain textures, certain temperatures of foods. One day a food can be a safe food for her to eat. The next day, it's not. So she understands the whole food is not always our friend mentality. So we've tried to give Lily a very healthy relationship with food, and unfortunately, her pediatrician underscored that when she found out that when her mom was reading her chart aloud and read on there that the doctor called her fat for being 2 pounds over BMI. 2 fucking pounds. And he called her fat in her chart. These are the things that cause eating disorders. Now, the other thing with an eating disorder, because I've been told, I went through therapy a long time ago with my eating disorder. I know the root causes of my eating disorder. I know that I eat when I am lonely, so I will eat at night more than I will eat during the day. But it's also not just about the quantity of food you eat. It's not about just if you eat food and then throw it up, which I've never done. It takes an act of Congress for me to vomit. Except for those special occasions where I get like this sticky sweet paste in my mouth and then I know I am going to vomit no matter what. I fixate on food to fix my loneliness and to fix my problems, the way an alcoholic would with alcohol or a drug addict would with drugs. But they can choose never to do those things again. Someone with a food addiction has to eat. You can't get away from it. And it's very hard. It took years for me to get to the point where I was not binge eating every time I felt lonely, every time I felt bad, every time I wanted to cry. And it wasn't just about the quantity of food, it's behind the intention of what I'm eating it for. Why am I eating it? But there's also another part of my eating disorder that a lot of people don't understand. And Lily's mom and I had a conversation, I think 2 days ago about this. And she finally understands this part of mine now. Part of the problem that I have with fixations of fixating on food is if I know something is in the refrigerator, I will, or pantry or freezer, I will fixate on it and I can't get it out of my head until I eat it. Case in point. I've been laying in bed for about 2 hours. And I was hungry. And I was like, well, I could get me a snack. So I keep snacks next to my bed so that it's usually safe foods that I know I can eat. Fruit cups, sometimes some chips, shortbread cookies, which I don't eat those very often. I also keep Ricola cough drops to try to mitigate this issue. Tonight, I fixated on ham. This was the ham that we had at Christmas. And I fixated on this ham. I knew it was in there because I saw it in there a couple of days ago when I was looking for something. Now, last night for dinner, I made Lily and I butter chicken with rice and faux naan bread. Whole thing. It was delicious. I had a half a cup of rice and a half a cup of sauce with 3 pieces of chicken in it. I was good. I was fine. And then I was laying here in bed and I got thinking about some things and I got upset. Started getting emotional. And then I was like, my stomach growled. My stomach doesn't growl. The hormone receptor that's in the top of your stomach that tells you when you're hungry and when you're full, mine does not work properly. It does not turn on when I am really hungry until I'm to the point where I'm nauseous. And it does not turn off when I am eating to tell me I'm full to the point that I am over full. So I am very conscious of what I eat so I can be aware that I'm eating too much. I was laying here and I had 3 Dorito chips. Not what I wanted. I'm not going to eat it because it's not what I want. I put the chip clip bag on it, turned it aside. In fact, it's right here. And I was like, no, it's not really what I want. I'm not going to eat it. So I was like, ooh, maybe I just want something sweet. And I had a box of sour Mike and Ike's. And in that box was like 6 pieces left. So I was like, okay, I will take and I will eat that. Because usually I'm like 2 or 3 of those in and I'm good. I'm feeding my service dog, by the way. She's sitting here being very good and the cat's going to come over in a minute because he realized the dog's getting fed. Yep, here comes Voldemort. So, but I was sitting here and I was like, it's not what I want. What do I want? And then I was like, well, we don't have bread. So I can't be like, oh, you're Valdi. I can't do the normal, oh, I'll have toast with some cream cheese. Because usually that will kick any kind of anything I've got going on. Like, no, I don't want that. Can't have it and don't have any bread. So then I was like, well, what is it that I want? And then my mind turned to the ham in the freezer. Please don't drop it on my bed. I'm in my bed. And that's all I could think about was this stupid ham in this freezer. Now, me, knowing me, what I should have done was immediately got up, got the ham, ate a few pieces of it, and then went to sleep. But that's not what I did. I tried to ignore the fact that my brain was telling me that this is what I wanted. I figured, because everybody tells you this. Everybody tells you, ignore it. It'll go away. Not when you have an eating disorder. Not when you have an eating disorder that causes you to fixate on the problems and then basically demands that you do what it wants it to do, or it's not going to let you sleep. I laid in bed for almost 2.5 hours trying not to think about ham. 2.5 hours. That was 2.5 hours I could have been sleeping. Am I going to sit and eat this whole thing? No. Although the critters around me would gladly finish it off. They're not going to get much more either. But I'm mad at myself. Not because I'm eating the ham. That's not it. Because I learned a long time ago not to beat myself up for eating the things that my body says you have to do this or I will make you miserable. Because I don't have to eat the entire thing. And these are really small pieces. And so far I think I've had 3. Cats and dog have had 2 or 3. But I'm mad at myself because I have to take care of something in a few hours. It's going on 5 o'clock. And I spent 2.5 hours trying to ignore something that I knew if I just got up and did what I needed to do, I'd be able to go to sleep sooner. It would not have been a problem. But because I gave into the pressures of what everybody tells me that I need to do, because this is an addiction. This is something that I can't control. It is something that if I could go without it, I would. But I also understand that I can't. Sometimes we have to learn to work with our addiction, with our disorder, to make it better. Sometimes we can't cure it, sometimes we can't get rid of it, but we can mitigate it. We can do things to make things better. There are times I've had arguments with mental health professionals because they're like, "Oh, you're not really an addict to food because I don't give into it every second of the day and I learn to work with it." And I'm like, "Yeah, it really is, because just because I'm not sitting down and binge eating what you perceive the amount of food should be to be an addiction, to be a problem." Because I will tell them, hey, I gave in to my addiction this week. I gave in to my eating disorder, and I binge ate. And they're like, oh, okay, so how much did you eat? Not what did you eat? How much did you eat? And they'll be like, oh, I had a grilled cheese sandwich at 2 o'clock in the morning. Honey, how many did you have? One or two. Oh, that's not binge eating. But it is binge eating, because it's not always about the amount of food you're eating. It's the reason why you're eating it. If you're eating that food because you're trying to fill up that empty void that's inside, if you have a mental condition that tells you that you will feel better if you just do this, you need to do this, and it doesn't stop. It's non-relenting. That is the addiction. It's not always just the fact that you're eating a large amount or you're doing something that's so extravagant that a normal person wouldn't be able to do that. It also comes down to the reasons why you're doing it. And that's the biggest struggle that I think a lot of us with disorders have, is because of the fact that, are you done? The cat is no, he took it. Is because they perceive the disorder to be something so extravagant, something so over the top, that it is absolutely detrimental. Because it takes a physical toll on your body, instead of dealing with the mental toll on your body. Now, I know that whatever I'm going through mentally right now is not satiated by what I've ate, because twice I have wanted to put it over there. And twice in my head, I was like, no. If you have a disorder like this, if you have a condition that makes you want something when it comes to food, and you obsess over it and you want it, and it's not going to stop until you get it, it's better to go ahead and give yourself that grace to go ahead and do it, but do it in a healthy way that you can, and in a healthy amount. Is it healthy to sit and eat just plain spiral cut ham? No. But so far, I would say I've had probably, between the cat, dog, and I, we've had about 3 ounces of meat. The other thing I do when dealing with something like this, I try to eat very slowly. I will pick at it. I eat with my fingers a lot. And one of the reasons why I eat with my fingers so much is because it slows down how much I can put in my mouth at a time. I make sure to completely chew my food. And also think about what I'm eating and why. I'm not going to beat myself up for needing to do this. I am not going to make myself feel bad because I have this issue. I know this is a medical condition. I know this is nothing that I have done to myself. I do know that it is something that was thrust upon me in my childhood and was a taught coping mechanism. Do I have other coping skills? Yes. It has taken years of therapy to get to the point where I know that this is what is going on. This is why this is happening. I also know that sometimes I can ignore it and let it kind of work its way through. And I know other times I can't. I knew earlier today that if I did not get up, I have been thinking about this damn ham for days. Literally days. And tonight, because I got emotionally upset, my eating disorder decided to kick in and tell me that if I didn't eat it, it was not going to let me sleep. A lot of people don't understand it. They'll understand, like, Lily's mom's condition because she gets food ick a lot. She can have a food that is normally a safe food for her, and then she will be eating it and it is fine, and then suddenly she will take a bite and it will be the food ick will kick in. I think I'm done. I'm going to take and put this over here, and I'm going to get a drink. Hold on. Ugh. And we're going to hope that now that I've let this sit, I still want to pick. I'm still having that want to sit and pick. But I feel my stomach getting full. And I know if I eat too much because of my stomach disorder that I have. I have precancer of the colon. So food is not always my friend. Food can make me very, very ill. So I'm going to let that sit and see if it bothers me. But Lily's mom will be eating her safety foods, and then suddenly she can't eat them anymore. And then she doesn't want them for a very long time. So when her and I were talking, I was like, mine is the polar opposite. I get fixated on something and I have to have it. It's like lately, all I want to eat for dinner are cheap, like 99-cent hamburgers. I don't know why. I don't like McDonald's. But that's what I'm fixated on. I haven't had them. Don't have the money for them. But it's like, that's what my body is fixated on at the moment. And I know I'm going through some emotional things. And I know I have some things that are upsetting me at the moment. And I know that's what's fueling it. But I can't always just fix everything the way it should be fixed. So if you have these problems, if you have an eating disorder like mine, if you have any eating disorder, you need to get therapy, because there is no fixing your eating disorder until you know why you have it. Eating disorders are born out of trauma. So you really need to look at what has caused your trauma and go from there. You need to figure out the root cause. You need to understand that nobody goes from 0 to 60. You go from 0 to 5, and then from 5 to 15, and from 15 to 20, 20 to 40, and you build up. No one ever, dude, it's gone. It's gone. The ham is put away. I'm sorry. But nobody goes like that. Nobody goes from 0 to 60 without steps up. So you need to learn how to identify the steps that you're going through. And I want to do another whole video series in this podcast on things that you can do that I've learned over the years that you can do to help mitigate your problems and to identify them as they are going on. Because I hear from people all the time, oh, I was fine and I snapped. You just don't know how to recognize the warning signs. You don't know how to pick up on the little things that are going on in the moment. And it's hard, especially if you don't have those kind of skill sets to look at it and reflect back upon it. So I want to do some things that I've learned over the years that have truly helped me. But I think we need to talk more about our eating disorders and our medical conditions that we have so that people can understand them. I was born in 1968. I'm old. We had friends when I was growing up in the 70s. We had one friend whose child was Down syndrome. They did not go to school at all. I had another friend when I was in school in third grade, disappeared for 6 months. And when he came back, he was walking with crutches. Like the kind that go on your forearms that are permanent. Turned out he had MS. He never came back to school. But he lived down the street and we were friends. My father told me something that stuck with me my entire life. And that was, I don't know why when somebody has a child that is sick, that is disabled, or that is just different, why do you hide them away? Because the more people think that these kinds of people don't exist, the longer it will take for them to be accepted. The longer we go without normalizing that people have problems, people have conditions, people, have issues, people have medical conditions. The longer we go and hide these people away, the longer it's going to take for society as a general to accept them. And I absolutely believe that that is true for a lot of things. But I want this to be the starting of a conversation. Let me know what you think of this in the comments. But I think this is something important that we need to talk about. So hopefully this will be the starting point of a conversation. Share this video with other people that you know. Let's get a bunch of different point of views going in the comments. Share with me your stories. If there's subjects, baby, my service dog is trying to get underneath the blanket. She's failing because there's stuff on the blanket. But if there's topics you would like to talk about, absolutely let me know. I've been really bad at trying to get these podcasts going, and that is totally on me. I made a huge mistake, and I bought into a platform that I thought was going to help me tremendously, and it is costing me so much money a month, I cannot continue that platform. So the majority of everything's going to be YouTube for now, until I can figure out a better way of doing this. I can't be spending $125 a month on a platform that isn't covering itself. So if you are using that platform, I am extremely sorry. I'm going to see what I can do to go back to the non-video format in that particular platform because it is much cheaper. But I'm going to do these on YouTube for now. So it's like I always say, though, it's just my 2 cents. Take what you want, leave the rest. And until we meet again, and I hope we meet again soon, have the day that you deserve. But only you can make sure that it is awesome. All right, bye.